Here with Coach Joe Hudak after the first prospect game against the Bennett School. Coach, first of all, if you wouldn't mind just catching us up. We got, the broadcast started in the fourth inning. What did we miss?
Well, we talked after the game. We lost 7-6 in the last inning on a walk-off, but we really didn't lose that game in the seventh inning. So we had, first inning we had second and third, one out, struck out, didn't put the ball in play. Next inning we had bases loaded, one out, struck out again, didn't put it in play. Later on in the game we had bases loaded, nobody out, and didn't score. So, you look at that game and you say, okay, well, we lost it in the last inning, but we didn't. We had many opportunities, plenty of opportunities to score some runs early in the ball game, and we didn't take advantage. Very, very pleased with how we battled back once we got down. Once we got down, we came back. We had some great at-bats in that last inning, but we lost that game early.
Of course, in some of those situations with runners on, what needs to change as far as maybe the approach at the plate?
A better two-strike approach. We talked about it. We talk about it all the time. If you have two strikes with runners in scoring position, the only place you should get beat is in, fastball in. But we're getting beat on breaking balls away. That means we're not staying back. We don't have a good two-strike approach. If they beat us in, if they have guts enough to throw a fastball in or black and beat us, good for them. We'll clap our hands and say great pitch. But that's not going to happen. Every inning, and those three instances that I talked about, every time we struck out on breaking balls down and away. We just got to have a better two-strike approach.
Of course, Kason Young on the mound got the team 4 innings before Tristan came in. What did you like out of him?
His changeup was excellent today. He has a really, really good changeup. He threw the ball over the plate. He struggled with command earlier in the year. He's really getting back to where he should be. Threw really well today. You look at it, when they scored their runs to get ahead of us, we were up 1-0. They scored 4. We walked the number 9 guy leading off, right? This last inning here, right? We're up by 2. We walked the leadoff guy. You just can't do that. You can't. Good teams, especially. And this is a really good team. They've got at least 6 Division I commits. They're really good. You can't give them bases like that. And it's going to come back to bite you, and it did. But, Kason threw well. Tristan threw well. Really, really proud of the way that we battled. They got a couple of bloops in that big inning, but they got a big hit when they needed it and put the ball in play. That was the difference, you see. They put the ball in play with the bases loaded less than 2 outs, and we didn't, right?
Yeah. Outside of what we've already talked about, anything else that needs to change in order to get the win tomorrow?
No, I don't think so. We played hard. We played fairly well. Again, they're a really good club, right? And, I thought that this trip so far has been great. Our varsity team won yesterday. They came from behind to win today, a great win today. After they were down by 8, I think, or something, came back to win. That's a phenomenal win. We played really hard here, a great game against a great club. We just got to execute a little bit better. Offensively, put the ball in play, right? Defensively, don't give them extra bases. We can play with anybody.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Sure. Thank you, Griff.